uh, something that's very dear to my heart. And I've um, been doing this for a long time. So in 2005, I started Age Performance, and Age Performance is a facility where we work with older adults. The whole premise is to get older adults to um, perform at their most optimal level, okay, with the physical function. And the way I got into this really was, oh gosh, I don't know, it would have been 30 some odd years ago. I was visiting my uncle who was in a nursing home at the time. And as I walked down the halls, leaving his room, leaving the building, as I was walking down the halls, I just kind of had this question come over my mind of what would happen if these nursing home residents engaged in a heavy resistance program. And when I say heavy resistance program, I mean, lifting weights like young people do. And what that means is 80% of one repetition maximum. So um, if you were to lift something 100 pounds one time, then 80% of that 100 pounds would be 80 pounds. And so you lift that 10 times. And this had never been thought of or really done before with older, like I hate the word elderly, so let's not use the word elderly, but older adults. And um, and so it was just this question I had, like, what would happen? Well, I went up to the University of Utah, did some research and some investigation at the library. And in 1990, early 90s, 93, 94, Tufts University was just starting to look into this. Okay, and I won't go into a long story, but I'll highlight a study that they did back in 1993, 94. Um, and it was a first of its kind with 100 subjects in a nursing home. And the average age of these elderly the average age was 87. Most of them had all kinds of chronic conditions, whether it's arthritis, heart disease, some mild dementia, neuropathy, you name it. And after 10 weeks of this heavy resistance training, they didn't think that it could be done. They didn't know whether it would hurt them or kill them, or I'm sure they knew it wouldn't kill them, but whether their muscles would respond. So sorry, it wasn't 10 weeks, it was 12 weeks. After 12 weeks, they had an increase of muscle strength 110%, and they improved their ability to climb stairs 30%, and then improved their walking speed by a half mile an hour. That was profound results. Okay. And to me, that's what started kind of this whole movement now of, and why I got into this was, I truly believe that we could work with older adults in a way that we had never done before. Because prior to this, it was always kind of just really kind of like sit in your chair and do really easy exercises. And this study proved it was evident that you could do the opposite, that you could train older adults um, in a I don't mean in an aggressive way that was safe. Now, I was lucky enough to go and do an internship 8 months after they did that study at that same facility. And so I was able to work with those people in the study. And then I came back to Salt Lake after that, after earning my master's degree in gerontology, and then opened up Age Performance. Well, I worked at a regular gym. I worked at another gym for a lot of years before opening up Age Performance in 2005. So, so um, one thing I want to talk about is this word called Mithridatism. And Mithridatism is a big word, and it's taken me forever to learn how to say it. But it comes from King Mithridates, who was king of Pontus back in, like, I think 100 BC. And he was the king that was fearful of being poisoned by his enemies. And so he would take small doses of poison to build up an immunity so that if he got poisoned by his enemies, he wouldn't die. Well, we're born with that poison, okay? We're born with the ability um, for our bodies to function well, to move well. And that's what I want to just get into for the few minutes that we have, is something that's really important um, as we get older, is this speed and power. Okay, creating speed and power in our bodies, because what they're finding, what research is finding, is that that's more critical than strength. Now, both are important, but we lose the ability to move fast, a lot faster than losing our strength. So if you think about why is it that we move slower as we get older, or you see it all the time, the slow movement. And it's not because so much of aging. Maybe it is, maybe 10 or 20% of aging, but the rest of it is just inactivity. And we lose the ability to utilize our fast twitch muscle fiber, but we can gain it back. And that's kind of the poison I'm talking about, is we're born with that, because when we're young, when we're in grade school, we do these quick stop go action and reaction by playing tag and chase and hide and seek and all that. We go into middle school and we still are engaged in those same kind of activities. Go to high school, we play intramural sports, whether it's volleyball, basketball, a lot of these sports that require us to move quickly, stop, and then react and go back. So we utilize our fast twitch muscle fiber a lot of the time when we're younger. And then when we get to college and then get into our careers, we stop. And we never go back and use that for a long, long, long time. And so we stop taking the poison. Okay. We lose that immunity, so that when we have to move fast, we can't do it. So there's something that I was going to show a video. Obviously, I won't be able to do that, but I want you to write this down. Write down TC, the letter T, and then the letter C, and then Banks, Banks, and then Dream Riders, DreamRiders, Dream Riders. So it's on YouTube. It's easy to find. And watch that video. It's about 5 minutes long. It's in subtitles, but they're easy to read. And it's based on a true story of these Taiwanese motorcycle riders. And I won't go into it because you'll watch it later. But it's a big part of what I like to empower older adults with. I show this video a lot because what it says is um, I'm not going to go down down this downward spiral of what aging appears to be, or what society kind of shows us what aging is physically. They literally, you know, stop their kind of internal dialogue with them and do something totally different to really enhance their physical function. And I'll leave it at that. But it's a great video. You won't want to miss it. Um, and that's the thing I tell people when they come to the facility here is ask yourself, what are the possibilities, no matter what your age, whether you're 50, 60, 80, 90. Of course we're declining, but ask yourself, what are the possibilities? What can I do physically? Okay, it's a great question to have. All right, so I got to open up my uh, phone here to see. So let's talk a little bit about. So what what I did mention earlier, I want to just rephrase it. Um, and this is what the research shows, is that as we get older, we lose muscle. Okay, in our muscle, we have different kinds of muscle, and for the sake of argument, we have what's called type 1 muscle fiber, which is slow twitch muscle fiber that allows us to do things for a long period of time, sitting, walking, running, long distances. So those kind of muscles allow us to do things for a long duration. The other type of muscles are fast twitch muscle fiber muscles that allow us to move quickly, to quickly run across the street, or to throw something, or to jump. Okay, sprint, those things, to recover from a stumble. If you were to stumble, what are you going to use? Your fast twitch muscle fiber, or your slow twitch? The fast twitch. Like I said, as we get older, that we lose the fast twitch muscle fiber at twice the rate as the slow twitch muscle fiber. There's no wonder why we move slower as we get older. Okay. So, um, I'll explain some things we can do to help kind of to exercise what exercise you do to work the fast twitch muscle fiber. But one thing that I'll have you do right now as an illustration is if you're sitting down, which we always do. So sit on the edge of your chair, okay? So sit on the very edge of your chair and put your hands like this. Let me move my camera down. Put your hands like this, okay? And I want you to just stand up just 1 inch off the chair and then hold it. So stand up 1 to 2 inches off the chair and then hold and then go back down, okay? And then do it again. Just stand up just slightly off the chair, hold it, come back down, and then do it again. Go up. Now hold it, and now stand all the way up. Okay, so stand all the way up. Okay, sit back down. Okay, when I had you do those the first inch or two, did you notice there was a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a inertia, a little bit of kind of, there's an ignition? That's the fast twitch muscle fiber and the fast twitch motor neurons, you know, firing so that you can get that initial movement. Once I had you on that last time, once I had you stand up all the way, that's strength. But that little bit of movement at the beginning is speed and power, and that's what we lose as we get older. And um, and um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to say. So think about that movement, and then when we're on the floor, okay. And now when I say that, I'm like, I would love to ask you guys, how many of you get on the floor on a regular basis? And I don't know what the answer is, but that's something you may want to consider if you feel comfortable getting on the floor and being able to get up. If you're able to do that, that's a really good exercise to do. Okay, because there's all kinds of stuff going on when you just go down on the floor and get back up. And we don't have time to go into it, but you know, how you hear about this. Don't worry, I'm kind of going off track here. I promise I'll come back on track. You know how you hear about, get 10,000 steps in a day? That's all great and that's good. But what's probably more important is to get like 10 to 20 down on the floor and back up 10 to 20 times a day, if you can. If you can only get one, if you get one. If you can't get any, that's fine. Fine, there's other ways to get around that. But there's so much going on when you get down and up from the floor. Okay, all right. That's just a little sidebar. Back to the main point of that little spark that you felt when we stood up from the chair. There's I think I counted them. There's like 5 different of those sparks when you get up from the floor. Okay. Now again, if you had our time getting up from a chair or getting up from the floor, it's because of the loss of the fast twitch muscle fiber. All right. All right. Hang on. I'm just going through my PowerPoint notes here to see where I am. Okay. Um, I'll just quickly go into the physiology of how that occurs, which is really interesting. So in a young muscle, we have we have fast twitch motor neurons attached to fast twitch um, muscle. And then there's slow twitch motor neurons attached to slow twitch muscle fiber, okay, in a young muscle. In an older muscle, because we don't utilize our quickness, what happens is the slow twitch motor neurons start to go over to the inactive fast twitch motor neurons and muscles and latch on. And when that happens, those fast twitch motor neurons and those fast twitch muscles start to work like a slow twitch muscle fiber in an older adult. Okay, so the physiology changes in the muscular system as we get older. Okay, just not a big deal. You just have to, that's just a little science. So there's a there's a there's a diagram called the force velocity curve. Okay, so it's a curve that goes like this. And so I'm kind of using my hand here. So it comes down and it curves like that. Up here would be ultimate strength. Okay, so like what we talked about earlier in this in this program of when the nursing home residents were strength training, 80% of 1RM, they used a lot of weight. They used that strength. Okay, and then on the other end of the scale would be using really lightweight, okay, but using lightweight at a fast speed. So what we want to do is we want to work our bodies, like if you were doing a weight and you were going to work on speed and power, you would work on around 30% or 40% instead of 80% of that one repetition maximum. Okay. Um, Basically, I think a better way to put it is if you did rubber bands, if you pulled on bands and you were able to push or pull on rubber bands 20 times without really fatiguing, that would be kind of where you would be working that fast twitch muscle fiber. Okay. Another thing you can do is just squatting up and down quickly from a chair. Okay. So let's say you're sitting in a chair and you have arms, arms that you rest your elbows on the chair. Um, with this kind of action or this kind of movement, it's okay to push off with your hands and use your leg, like use your whole body, right? We think of if you're going to do an exercise on your chair by standing up like this, we should do it slow and smooth like this to build up strength. And that is true. Okay. I'm not negating that. That is true. But sometimes sit in your chair and come up really fast like that, really fast, and then come back down. And like I said, it's okay to push off if you want because you're just using your whole body anyway, your legs, your arms, and everything. Hope that makes sense. Okay. Um, see what else I've got here. So there were some videos I wanted to show of people doing some really explosive power movements. Okay. Obviously, I won't be able to show those. Um, but another thing that you can do that's really good is 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 standing up and then holding onto your kitchen counter and then just moving your feet really fast, like running in place. But you're taking small steps. You're not bringing your knees very high up off the floor or I'm sorry, up in the air. You're just doing little movements like this with your feet. And just do that for 3 to 5 seconds is all. Okay. And that's going to work that fast twitch muscle fiber. Um, It's also a good. With that said, I'm going to do another sidebar a little here, off track here, um, because what happens a lot of times in the middle of the night, right? If you have to get up and go to the bathroom, um, that sometimes people get really dizzy, and sometimes a lot of falls happen during that time. So it's a good idea to sit on the edge of your bed. And then, so go ahead and sit on the edge of your chair. Okay, let's do the sit on the edge of the chair trick again. Sit on the edge of your chair. So pretend like you're sitting on the edge of your bed before you stand up. And then just move your feet really quick, your feet up and down really quick like that. Just small movements up and down. Yeah, and go as quick as you can. So do that like 2 or 3 times before you stand up. Because then what you're doing is you're warming up your muscles, you're firing up those fast twitch muscle fibers. So when you go to stand up, you're going to be less dizzy when you go to the bathroom. Okay. All right. Back away from the sidebar. Now, again, that exercise is just a good exercise to do in your chair, like it was the one I described with standing. Okay. Um, you can, like I said, you can use bands. You can pull on bands, hook it up to a doorknob or something like that and pull on the bands. You can do push-ups off your kitchen counter, which maybe you're already doing, but you can do it in a little bit of a faster motion to utilize that fast twitch muscle fiber. Um, some of you that are able to like skipping in place is a really good idea, or you can skip across or down your hallway or across the room or something like that. Being careful, only if you're comfortable doing that. But you can also skip standing in place. And that's using that really quick mechanism on your lower foot and ankle that's going to utilize that fast twitch muscle fiber. Um, so that's a really good thing to do as well. Okay. Um, are there any questions so far? We good here? Okay.
And you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat, and I can.
And then, yeah, but go ahead and type your question in the chat, or again, unmute as I'm going along too, if you want. Something I did that was kind of interesting. Suzanne, I'll rely on you to look for the questions in the chat, if you don't mind. I remember I talked earlier about the fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fiber. Well, we've been talking about that all along. What I wanted to see was if there was a difference between older adults that ran marathons and older adults that ran sprints. And yes, there are older adults that do that down at the Huntsman Senior Games every year down in St. George. There's all kinds of events, right? There's pickleball, there's badminton, there's table tennis, there's basketball, there's walking, everything. And there's track and field. And so, yes, there are 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old people that run 50-meter sprints or 100-meter sprints. And so I went down about 4 years ago, and I took 15 long-distance runners at the Huntsman Senior Games. So these are people that run, 26 miles or longer all the time for their training. And what I did is I had them do, again, the good old sitting on the edge of your chair trick. They sat on their chair like this, and I had them go up and down like this 5 times in their chair, but as fast as they could. And I timed how long it took them to do 5. Okay. I did the same thing with the sprinters at the same event. I mean, the same Huntsman Games. Okay. They were I think they were a couple of days apart, but I did 15 sprinters, same thing. 5 sit to stand, arms like this, timed them how long it took them to do 5. And what we found was that on average, the long distance runners, and by the way, the average age of the long distance runners was 66, and it took them on average 8.5 seconds to complete 5. On the sprinters, the men and women that ran 50-meter sprints, it just happened to be that their age was a little bit older. They were 69 versus the 66-year-olds, and their average time was 6.6 seconds. So there was a 2-second difference between the two groups. So clearly, the people that trained in sprints and did that as training, and again, I'm not suggesting you do that, but those people that worked on their fast twitch muscle fiber were 2 seconds faster in their ability to move on that test of the sit to stand, 5 times. All right. So again, don't go out and sprint. That's not a good idea. But like I said, you can hold on to your kitchen counter and do quick movements. You can get up and down quickly from a chair. You can sit in your chair and do your fast movements. You can skip if you have the ability to do that. You can even when you're out walking, just pick up the pace a little bit for just maybe 10 yards or something like that. You can even do this, and you can sit in your chair, or you can kneel down and do what's called a half kneel. So you have one knee down and one knee down, and then your other leg's in a 90-degree angle. And you can move your arms really fast. Move the camera down. You can move your arms really fast like this, as fast as you can. Now that's upper body movement. That's an upper body fast twitch muscle fiber movement. Okay, that's okay. That's going to translate into the rest of your body moving fast as well. Maybe not ideal, right? It's better that we get that lower extremity moving fast, but the upper body needs it too. And what I'm saying is if you move the upper body fast, the arms really fast in that way, it will translate into you moving fast in your lower body as well. So both are good, and I would do both. Yeah. And so I wanted to make this point. You can even, this is really good to do too. You can be on. I wouldn't use a treadmill, but you can use a recumbent bike. So maybe most of you or all of you have access to a recumbent bike. So you get on the bike and you pedal just really fast for 5 seconds or 6 seconds. and then slow it down. And I would come to a complete stop because there's something really valuable about that, starting up from a dead standstill. It activates that brain really well to get that brain really activated and get those muscles moving. But just do that for 5 or 6 seconds, and then go to a slow, start to slow down slowly and come to a complete stop. And do that, just all you have to do is 6 or 7 of those. Okay. And that's going to utilize your fast twitch muscle fiber. And what studies are showing that when you do something like that, you're creeping into what's called high intensity exercise. And don't let that scare you, because that is safe to do. As long as, if you've cleared exercise, it's safe to do that. They've done studies with older adults of doing exactly that, working really hard for 4 to 5 seconds, resting for 30 seconds or 20, and doing that 10 times. What I would suggest is you're doing it, 6 or 7 times. But you are going to also exercise your heart that way. Okay. And then you're going to work your fast twitch muscle fiber. And by the way, when you do something like that on the bike or work in a fast motion, you're also working on your balance in a strange way. And the way that works is in your inner ear, you have what's called the labyrinth, this like labyrinth looking thing inside your inner ear. Well, that mechanism needs a speed stimulant for it to be active or for it to be stimulated. So speed stimulates that labyrinth inside the inner ear, and that labyrinth in the ear is a huge component to improving our balance or having better balance. Okay. So anyway, there's so many benefits to this, but I just wanted to mention that about the bike. In a nutshell, like, what am I trying to get at here? Um, I think, first of all, any kind of movement is good, and we want to move. The more we move, the better. Um, I think we know that. And I was just at a conference this past weekend, and of course, they're talking about, and it was called the Functional Aging Institute. It was a conference for them, and it was all about older adults and training older adults. And one of the things that was compelling, and you all know this, okay, is one of the presenters put up on the screen. This is put up on the screen, all these benefits, all the benefits to exercise, right? We know them. In fact, there's so many I can't. That was the purpose of her showing this on the screen, was she had to have really small writing because there's so many benefits. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when I started getting into this, we didn't know that much about it. We all intuitively thought, but we just kind of thought, well, it's good for your heart, it's good for your lungs, you know. But over time, the benefits are immense, right? From preventing some better decreasing your chances of getting certain illnesses, from cancer to Parkinson's disease to so many, dementia, right? Sleeping better, more energy. It just goes on and on and on. And I just bring that up because, right, that should be self-motivating, for all of us maybe to do more, to be more active. Okay, and I would just encourage you all to do that. The other point that was made in this conference is to maybe looking at as exercise or physical activity as something you invest in. So you think about maybe having a financial advisor or someone like that to help you with your retirement planning, so that you have a plan, or you can plan for the future. You have something in place to keep you financially healthy down the road. And that was one of the points that was brought up in this, is looking at exercise or physical activity in that same way. Start now and think of it as investment for your physical function ability down the road. Just like the residents at the in Boston where I was, where they did that initial study. Okay, they you know the outcomes of that was remarkable. I'll tell you a funny little thing too about that. I'm going another sidebar, but I'll go to the left this time. Or you're right, since you're looking at me differently. But um, when that first came on, that when that study came out, Brian Williams, who's the news anchor on NBC back then, he was on NBC. I remember watching this, and he said before a commercial break, he said, "You'll want to come back after the commercial and listen to this landmark study that just came out of the New England Journal of Medicine on how we treat the elderly. Could be the most important discovery yet of what we found to keep older adults active." Okay. So I just wanted to throw that little piece in there. All right, I'm rambling on, but I think stay active, keep moving, be motivated or try to get motivated, and work on that fast twitch muscle fiber. They're finding that is working the fast twitch muscle fiber is more important than working the strength. Albeit both are important, they're finding that the power and speed training as we get older is critical for our physical function into the future. So I'll leave it at that. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I can leave or Suzanne, if you want to leave my information somehow. My email is paul@ageperformance.com, but I can certainly answer some questions.
Paul, I teach Tai Chi for arthritis for the county, and for very slow moving, smooth, moving with resistance, but slow and smooth. And I'm really, having worked with you in the past, this is really helping me remember the fast twitch muscles, which I don't think we're using in our Tai Chi. We do a few punches here and there, but other than that, it's very smooth and fluid. And so, if one were doing this Tai Chi program, I've been teaching for the last 3 years, what fast twitch exercises, well, I mean, because you've listed a lot, the quick cycling, the running of the feet, the standing at the counter, standing on your bed. And I've been actually writing them down. I could look them up using the exercise bands because we can't do them in the class because this class is also evidence-based, so we follow a very strict protocol in learning these 41 forms, as they're called. But what can we, people who are doing Tai Chi, do specifically to do the fast twitch that might complement what we're doing?
During Tai Chi?
No, we can't do it during because
No, I wouldn't suggest it because
but
Tai
on the
Chi has
side, on
Tai
the
Chi
side,
has its Tai Chi has its own wonderful benefits, right?
yes.
That you don't want to. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so well, again, it's um, like Tai Chi is really wonderful for meditative reasons and that mind-body connection and balance, of course. In fact, I work with a client that does a lot of Tai Chi.
Mm.
So when he comes into the facility, so I hear I have these wonderful videos that I was going to share. They're magnificent because, and Alicia, you probably remember some of them, but we have these machines that are air based. They're not mass. It's air resistance, and so it allows us to give a person resistance, and they can operate that resistance at a really fast speed. So they're getting a lot of power, a lot of speed, and it's really made a huge difference in their ability to navigate life. But that's here at the gym. But again, well, it's the things I mentioned, like skipping, you could do if you have the balance and ability to skip, that's a really good thing. And one thing I didn't mention, it's similar to the quick feet, either standing or sitting on the bed. But another good one, which I didn't mention, and it is in a standing position, and I'll do it standing. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I mean, you'll see part of it. But if I stand and just do these little jumps, like I'm only coming off the floor this much, but I'm keeping my knees relatively straight. I'm not locking them out. There's a slight bend in them, but I'm getting most of the rebound and movement from my ankles. But I'm coming from the balls of my feet. Okay. So it's just really quick, really springy off the balls of my feet. If which is a class 2 lever system when you're on the balls of your feet. If you're unable to do that, that means that you've lost the structure under the arches underneath your foot, which can be redeveloped and re-strengthened. Um, to do that. So you might find that when you do those fast little jumps standing, and if you find that you're doing it from flat feet and your heels are hitting the ground, then it's a good indication that you need to build up the arches underneath your feet by doing calf raises and some other kind of heel raises to build up those structures. And then gravitate and work toward doing this springy feeling off the balls of your feet with slightly bent knees. That's a really, really good fast twitch muscle fiber move that you can do. And then so I think that would be a good one. And another one, like I said earlier, is just getting up and down from a chair really fast 5 times. But you can cheat by using your arm. It's not cheating. It's just using muscles. Using muscles is not cheating. Thank you. Did that? You can answer more questions.
Oh,
Ask more questions.
Alicia, you're on mute. We didn't hear
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I unmuted myself again. I was just going to say, Paul, that would be really great for me to recommend to the class. The good news is we're building up our quads and our glutes in the class because we always have slightly bent knees and we're moving very slowly and we're watching our balance. But I do have this sense that we do need to, all of us who are only doing Tai Chi, need to do something in addition. So this is so helpful. Thank you so much.
It's funny you say that because the gentleman, the gentleman I work with who's been doing Tai Chi for a long, long time actually moves really slow when he's in his everyday life. Like when he comes into the gym, he's moving really slowly. And when we're doing things and I have him really speed up, he can move fast. He just
Oh,
is,
there you go. I
yeah.
tend to move slowly at my age anyway, but thank you, Paul. These are really great, helpful tips.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, so I guess that is it. I didn't see any more questions in the chat. Thank you so much, Paul. That was such good information. And it's
You're
nice to
welcome.
kind of break out of that stereotype, right? That just because we're getting older, we have to be really slow.
Well,
Like there.
and I think if you don't mind, just to remind everyone to look at that, the TC Banks Dream Riders, because it's very empowering, very inspiring. Well, Alicia, you've probably seen it before, but it's based on a true story, and it just is a real good reminder for all of us that we can take control of our health and our aging well into the future.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And next week, we're going to have Dr. Neff is going to talk to us in our 3P series about how to prevent disease, what kind of things we can do to stay healthy and stay out of the hospital.
Exercise.
Yep, that's one of them. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Paul.
Next
Thanks,
week.
Thank you. Bye.